So for Beast Games, did you have a strategy going in? If someone's competing in Beast Game Season 2, what do you think are the things that they should be practicing?
Yeah, I think you got to figure out what kind of game you want to play. Do you want to stay true to your values or do you want to play to win? I think you can do both. I think I did both. But I would just get crystal clear on how you want to play. 2, you got to step up your social game. It's a very social game where you need to make friends. You need to earn trust. People need to be able to trust you. And the more genuine, obviously, the better. And have a number in mind. If there's a number, because you're going to get opportunities to bribe. And you think about this, so many people turn down $100,000 in that first episode. Then you see 4 people turn down $1 million. So there's going to be opportunities where you can take money to either eliminate people or not eliminate people. I'd figure out what that number is and how important it is to you.
What was your number?
My number was 1.5 million.
How did you come to that number?
My wife and I were talking about it, and to be honest, I think it was a number that we figured would never get presented to us. So it's kind of like this thing that, we have a number, but we're never going to have to worry about it. Because I wanted to go all the way. And, when I signed up and I told my wife, hey, I want to be in Beast Games. It's going to be an awesome platform to talk about Lucas's disease. And she looks at me, she goes, if you're going to be gone for a handful of weeks, you better win this damn thing. And that totally shifted my mindset. Oh my gosh, I can talk about Lucas and win this thing. But having the thought of winning when there's 1,000 people is just so hard. It's just, for me, it was okay, I just got to survive. I'm on the platforms, I need to get the city. I'm in the city, I need to get to the island. I'm in the island, I need to get to the top 10. And once you kind of got there, it's okay, I got a shot.
So it was at the top 10 when you first realized, okay, I can actually win Beast Games.
It was probably right before the top 10 on the elimination train, when it was the top 21. And once I learned the rule set of the elimination train, I kind of go, I feel pretty safe. I feel like there's an 80% chance I'm going to get through. And so I was able to see myself in the top 10 where I kind of go, man, if I get to the top 10, I have a 1 in 10 chance of winning. And I think I've built very good social capital and good relationships. And I think I could do a great job. I can win this thing.
Do you think it's more effective to be a leader or a follower?
Great question. I think you need to be able to be both. I think there's times where you need to step up and lead. I did that more in kind of private settings, on our episode 6 on the physical challenge. I would step up as a leader, a vocal leader for a small group. There's other times where I think blending in is better. On the elimination train, to be a leader there was the last thing I wanted to do. I just thought there was no upside. I feel like I'd have to eliminate myself or my buddy Patrick. I didn't want to do that. So I think it's kind of circumstantial.
It seems like the people that all rejected $1 million, they ended up making it pretty far in the games, and they were looked pretty favorably amongst the other competitors. The only thing that was weird is that as soon as it went 51-49, as though it was advantageous for them to flip on them, like sharks, like piranhas, they would just be like, oh yeah, and then you did this, and that was a jerk move, and we can't believe this. And everyone's showing that they're better than the other person.
It's weird. In the games, there's really fresh memories. People remember what happened yesterday in the last challenge. And there's also this unspoken reciprocity. So think about the $1 million bribes. 3 out of the 4 of them made it out of the cubes. Dino, Tawana, and Jeremy. Then the next thing is the helicopter rides. Tawana gets selected for the first helicopter. Dino gets selected for the second helicopter. So there's 1 captain left. And now we have the 110 coins. Jeremy gets 103 of the 110 coins. People are always wanting to give back to these people who step up. But then, again, in the helicopter, you see that that reciprocity didn't last long, where people were stabbing Jeremy in the back in a matter of minutes because he didn't do what they wanted him to do.
I felt so bad for him in that moment because he was one of my favorite players, same with Dino. Just turning down $1 million like that in front of all of these people takes so much control. And then to see people now look at that negatively is oh, but yeah, he did that, but this. I was shocked.
I was shocked too. It was one of those things where during that episode, I was going around and trying to tell people the math. Hey, we have to give the coins to somebody, because if we don't, our odds of getting on a helicopter decrease, because this helicopter is going to go away empty. So that was my mindset. I wasn't trying to go around and say, hey, give these coins to Jeremy, because obviously I knew that would also put a target on my back. So like I didn't hear all these kind of talk about you got to bring a woman on or this, that, and the other until we got into the helicopter. And I kind of like, I'm like happy. And like Jeremy looks at me as like, no, this is not good. Like this did not end well. And he kind of sat there and he kind of led a prayer. And it was like one of these things where I'm like, oh, I didn't realize how badly people were coming at you. And so it was, the first couple of days on the island were interesting because there was some bad blood, especially to Jeremy, but also to me because I was involved with it.
And that's because Jeremy would not select a woman to join him on the helicopter.
Yeah, and he did. He selected Daphne 976, but it was one of these things where he chose two people first. He chose Gage 974 and myself, and then he asked us to choose people. And I didn't choose a woman.
Why didn't you choose a woman?
I don't know. I chose my best friend at the time, Patrick 930, and he's the guy who brought me in. He's the guy who stopped me in the hallway in Vegas. And I was like, hey, like he chose me. It's my time to choose him. Yeah, and in retrospect, you know, I would have taken a lot off of Jeremy if I would have. I would have chosen Maddie 852, a dear friend of mine. But at least, you know, I made that episode exciting, I guess.
How much was luck versus skill in the game?
Season 1 of Beast Games had a lot of luck and a lot of chance, but I think less than most people think. So are you guys kind of familiar with how we got our jersey numbers?
No, could you explain it?
So I was number 831, and it wasn't randomly assigned. It was back in Vegas in episode 0. On the third challenge, we had to go get our flags. And whatever flag you go get and are able to kind of successfully capture is your jersey number. And so there was actually 1,100 flags. So the people who went and got flags 1 through a couple hundred were the ones, hey, I got to go out there first. I got to get this flag. It's mine to get. Oh, I'm going to beat you. And in the first episode in Beast Games on Prime, you had to have someone self-eliminate your row. There was 3 rows that did not have anybody self-eliminate. It was the first row, the second row, and the fourth row. And these were the numbers kind of 1 through, let's call it 1 through 170. Like these were all these type A, aggressive people to go-getters, where the rows that kind of got up to the 800s, 900s, and 1000s were the helpers who help people get their flags, and the more kind of altruistic people who needed support, which you'd think those are the people who would eventually self-sacrifice. So I think there's a little bit more nuance to the chance. But yeah, when you really think about, I think through all the things that had to happen for me to get to episode 10. Oh my gosh. So much luck.
But before we get into that, men, real talk for a second, we are all afraid of losing our hair. And whether that's a receding hairline, thinning at the crown, or just thinning in general, the fear is there. But fortunately, there is a solution, and that would be our sponsor, Hims Hair Loss Solutions, where you could join hundreds of thousands of subscribers who got their flow back.
Hims offers a 100% online process that provides access to a range of hair loss treatments that work, all from the comfort of your couch, making treating hair loss simple with doctor-trusted treatment options and clinically proven ingredients like finasteride and minoxidil that can regrow hair in as little as 3 to 6 months.
And if swallowing pills is a challenge for you, no problem at all, because Hims also has a serum, spray, and chewable options.
The process is simple and it's 100% online. Just answer a few questions and a medical provider will determine if treatment is right for you. If prescribed, your treatment will be sent directly to your door.
So guys, start your absolutely free online visit today at hims.com/ICH.
That's HIMS.com/ICH for your personalized hair loss treatment options, or you could click the link down below in the description. HIMS.com/ICH.
Results vary. Based on studies of topical and oral minoxidil, prescription products require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if a prescription is appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for full details and important safety information. Thank you to Hims for sponsoring this episode, and back to the podcast.